22. And is it better with the lights or with no lights? With no lights. And we will have our conversation quite simple, quite clear, kind of. Uh, this moment now, I think that we are coming to that point as the negotiation. And it's quite simple at my sites. First of all, we do not have any kind of interest as to be supportive with who perpetrated the aggressions. First thing, they can got in touch with the credit, the transfers, the factoring, and if they receive as third interest, the operation is null, was exposed and told before. It's a not crime if it has no sense at all supply the criminal activity. We posted two videos kind of to expose how many time, how much, how long is the period that we are struggle this. We offered in the very first moment to the international police, considering at that moment the most relevant option to be against the crime, and we could check that indeed we have paramilitary also and now others we offer to the NATO, and the condition number one, considering the representatives we choiced, for instance, on Europe as one specific heads at the international police that was the leadership, and one and the anti-corruption and anti-bribery OECD, and the NATO with zero tolerance as corruption. We remember you that at that time the head on NATO will probably be at the bank, central bank, and we have a goal suggested which was the European monetary system. The wild data taxa is about this. We could use and understand also the US debt and the quality of those debts as decision made as discretionary or fixed kind of commitments that you have. But we observe that not only in USA, in all areas you change the center of interest according with your own purpose or interest, and sometimes this is not okay. It's enough reason to bring the variable doing this decision to the court. The other thing we will observe that if we did the optimization of, for instance, a lot of instruments and we got in touch with none of them, we just take a look at the public information on the internet, and we could check the architecture as design and offer the solution as white labels, independent, self-supported, and part of the campaign as self-defense against the institutional corruption and violence considering the crime. You will observe that, for instance, if you did the optimization of the SAGE and complainant advised that it's under interference, probably will be something not good for this asset even after the optimization, and you show no interest to apply the consequence or request at least an information about the interference made. Probably you had no interest at the effort. That's okay, it's your choice. I can offer anywhere, not considering the optimization as your instrument, but the period as optimization that I can fix anywhere by the binary codification, and we had the binary language as a relevant period as reading of the universe we live, including the causal relation at the criminal science. And America is not owner of all things that exist in our planet. It's an ambition, but sometimes this ambition will not gonna happen. And if you has no interest in, for instance, ask information or apply the consequence against the offender that are regressed and individualized and has no excuse in Brazil, for sure you has no interest. The first thing we can have as, primary conclusion. You have no interest at the effort, or you have no interest at the application of the law. Because the effort, since you got in touch with the possibility to obtain the credit, you looks like that has the interest. But to get this, you must apply the law against the criminal offender. And suddenly you kind of, not only USA, but all players had no interest. And I'm a single creditor by this. And also, I can hold all interest as my own purpose to do not have a, a regression as existing condition of mankind, or has humanity and humanity right and things conquered, because I do not support the cultural destruction, and I never did this by gains but as self-defense, right? The right to think belongs to my spectral field as existence. And if in a very specific moment, the creation I did, got in touch with some of you, and some of you had interest at this, and since God noticed that is something really profitable, you kind of had the motivation, but the motivation suddenly got down when you must apply the law against the criminal offenders in solidarity with Brazil by misuse of power, which took the legitimacy as application of the law, because it has no sense the criminal groups or the organized crime applying the law in institutions and states. I might tell something absurd or wrong down here. Down here, by circumstance, we have I'm the unique creditor, a single creditor, and looks like that the single interest, or the unique interest declared as against the crime and against the mafia as organized crime at the use of power by all violations I suffered at my circles. But in the same way, the U.S. defense and things we presented kind of are not represented by just linked with the criminal activity. So in some way we got in touch straight with the states, and the state with the European as a bloc, a big one, and maybe the most wealthy down here. And we have our phase, I think that is all negotiation, and it's quite simple because we work with laws of attraction. The attraction goes as anti-crime and anti-mafia, considering this budget that is totally self-supportive to activities against the crime, because we can trust in a government ruled by criminals all around. They won't gonna have the interest to support the activities to put them down as criminal they are. And we have 40 trillions to act straight, research, and put they in the place they must live as a prison, at least by crimes we have from the minor punishment. I think that is 6 or 8 years if I'm doing no wrong as obstruction. And some of you, or many of you, are not infiltrated agents or something like this, are criminals by nature, corrupted authorities, which implies in the middle of real criminal organization and real institutional and state power, charged by both, complained by both, under consequence of both. And there are no prerogative or any kind of institutional guarantee or protection to suppress the mankind, especially in Brazil. When you did this, you violate with the Brazilian Republic the Article 4, clause number 9 as the commitment to do the development of mankind. And then you request the information many times. You never have the conditions to answer except if you violate data and use the fake records, which is the preparation of all things to present an invented solution. It's a crime. It's named obstruction of justice and false records in Brazil. Kept by silence, which implies that your institutional decision accepted the risks. The negotiation is quite simple. We have laws of attraction, and we will move this little by little in the next days because we are all really tired right now. We are kind of facing this struggle since 2014 because we do not accept be faded or be changed by specific hands doing records and put you as something you do not support anyway, like drugs, corruption, crimes, or whatever, nepotism. If you have intelligence as a blessing of God or the freedom to express your thoughts and feelings, you have the way to achieve the goals you need. You don't need nobody else putting you in a situation that will be a slavery forever. And if you accept your office or department this way, you are a slave of the crime. And the crime, in the same way observed in the ancient time, exchange slaves by their own continuity, even reduced, because they suffered a big strike by this wild data taxa. And one more time, if you had no interest, you for sure have no interest as application of the law against the institution and state crime, which implies you has no legitimacy, not only in USA, to understand things in the way things are. That corruption is a criminal as the premise of all groups of accusation get functional corruption at departments and offices and have the international corruption as interaction in a transcontinental level, setting the trust as the combination and permutation of corporations and public departments and records and a lot of things that leads to the trust scam. And we finally had you all collinear at the single thing, which is the power misuse to cover power previously misused, that raised this scam that is totally exposed and didn't got dismantled yet by the lack of courage, the lack of capacity, the lack of reliability to do the simple decision, which is put criminals in jail. The duty of the decision of the chair that must do the decision is empty, because indeed we are having to experience that there are no legitimacy, as we told before, to apply consequence against the crime without be affected by this. And by this we requested the dismissal order not made. You accept you all the solidarious consequence and all consequence. And we request the machine to do the judgment, and it's not an American machine, but a machine that has the capacity to do the binary reading, the codification, can be the NATO, the Interpol, whatever. Right? We'll finish here, and the negotiation is quite simple. If you are against the crime, you will probably will be at this anti-crime budget. If you are not, you will not be here. And inside this circle is zero tolerance with corruption. Have a great day.